Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a book chat / review on Ghost Boys by Joel Parker Rhodes. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, spoiler alert. So I'm going to be doing a review on this as well as addressing I don't even know what to call it, the hot mess that is currently taking place in regards to the reading rush. So yeah, if you would like to hear my thoughts on that as well as this amazing book. All right, so before we get started, if you hear my Great Dane whining or crying upstairs, she's not hurt, dying, or anything above. She's absolutely fine. She's just traumatic, but here on this channel we deal with it. She is in trouble right now because I caught her trying to eat one of my boyfriend's shoes. Thankfully I caught her before any real damage was done, because then we would both be in a lot of trouble. But yeah, she's in her crate right now on a little bit of a timeout, so she's thoroughly unimpressed. So you might hear her. I'm hoping she just goes to sleep, but I'm usually not that lucky, so we'll see how this goes. Anyways, before we can get into the book review that was supposed to encompass this entire video, I thought I should give a little bit of my thoughts in regards to the reading rush that just took place. It finished on July 26th, I think. It finished on Sunday. I don't know when what time this video is going up on Tuesday, but the reading rush finished on Sunday. So, like, have we not learned anything, guys? Like, why? Why is there another issue for me to address? First of all, let me just make this as clear as I possibly can. I am not here to cancel anyone. I don't, like, no, that's not what I do. It's not what I care to do. It's not my MO. I'm also not here to like bash or hurt feelings or any of that nonsense. I'm also not here to feed into drama, because honestly, I have way better things to do with my time. But this is something that I felt the need to speak out on because it was really, really upsetting. So there's a couple things that went astray with the reading rush, and without getting too far into it, I'll just give you the brief Spark Notes edition of what went wrong with the reading rush. So the first thing that everybody, or a few people, were very quick to point out is the challenges were not very friendly to those that are disabled, or one challenge in particular, which was the one where it was read a book completely outside of your house. It didn't really take into consideration, one, the fact that we are in a pandemic, and what do you mean outside? Stay in your house. What do you mean? Like, stay in your house. I thought it was a little bit funny, especially because not even a month earlier, they held a stay home readathon or stay-a-thon or whatever it is that they called it. But then for the reading rush, they had a challenge that literally said, read a book outside your house. That aside, it didn't really cater to people who, for whatever reason, have a disability where they are unable to leave their house. When this was brought up, their response was, well, get creative with it. Excuse me? Or what you could have done was either get rid of that challenge altogether or change the challenge. That could have been a response too, but you know, hey, maybe that's just me. So that was the first red flag with the reading rush, at least that I saw. And then the second issue that I've seen here is the fact that, one, there was a group book. I had no idea that there was a group book for the reading rush. I didn't even, like, I had no clue. I did not see it advertised on the Instagram. I didn't see it really advertised on the website. I saw it nowhere. I saw it absolutely nowhere that there was a group book, let alone the fact that that group book was written by a Black author. I had no clue. So when I figured out that there was a group book at the end of the reading rush, that had me very, very irritated. But then, to put icing on the cake, they were supposed to have a live show where they talk about said group book, only to come to find out that none of them had actually read the book. So, I mean, color me curious. Why is it that you're hosting a readathon with a group book that you're supposed to read by a Black author during the Black Lives Matter movement, and you didn't read it? And instead of, you know, maybe addressing the fact that, okay, fine, let me backtrack. Sorry, I'm all over the place here, but let me backtrack. I'm not one to criticize people who say they're going to read a book and then don't end up reading a book, because I'm the queen of doing that. But when you are the host of the reading rush and you are responsible for the success of the reading rush, and you take it upon yourselves to choose a group book for the reading rush, which you did not promote successfully at all, but they did promote merch and affiliate links and a whole bunch of other things they promoted really, really well, but didn't promote the group book written by a Black author, and then didn't read the group book. that's an issue. And then to have a live show where you're supposed to talk about the group book and you only spend maybe 30 seconds to a minute talking about how the fact that none of you read the group book, or I don't know if it was none of them that read it or one specific host didn't read it. I can't recall. But there's a variety of ways where they could have responded better to this. One, if it turned out that none of the hosts or any of the people involved in the live stream had read the group book, then they shouldn't have had the live show. They should have made a post being like, you know what, guys, we're really, really sorry. We dropped the ball here, didn't read the group book, so there's not going to be a live show. Or if you still wanted to have the live show and maybe one host read the book, that's the host that should have held the live show and talked about the book there. Third option would be, none of you read the book written by a Black author. That sucks. But you could have talked about another book written by a Black author that maybe all of you have read and pushed that book instead, if that was the case. Because I don't think it would have been a huge loss, being that nobody knew about the group book anyways. So you could have taken that time to push another Black author that you guys all have read. Instead, they turned it around and did a Q&A. But the live show was still entitled about the group book discussion that nobody read that was written by a Black author. Like, do you see, like, I mean, I'm not that daft, so maybe I'm missing something, because to me it didn't make sense at all. So that was the second thing wrong. The third and final thing that just broke the camel's back, sent me on a spiral, was like, no, I can't handle this, was they made an apology addressing the issues here, but then they blocked a Black booktuber for speaking out about how they felt everything went wrong with the reading rush. They blocked that booktuber. So how are you going to apologize and then not take any of the constructive criticism that came with the mistakes that you made? And then to add a little bit of insult to injury, I was going through the Twitter feed of their apology, and I'm seeing a lot of non-Black people accepting the apology on behalf of Black people. And I'm just like, or on behalf of the people who were affected by the ableism that was projected through the challenge. And I'm just like, but hold on now I'm confused, because that apology wasn't directed to you. So how do you accept an apology on behalf of someone else? The best way I can think to put it is, if you and your friend are walking down the street and I make a rude comment to you, and then apologize for it afterwards, make a half-assed apology, if I make a half-assed apology to you afterwards, and your friend jumps in and accepts that apology on your behalf without even so much as consulting you, would you not be irritated? Because I'd be irritated, especially if that friend is non-POC. Would you not be I would be frustrated. I would be very, very frustrated. Now, I can't speak on behalf of the people who were affected by the challenge that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of pushed forth ableism a little bit here. I can't speak on behalf of that, because I know that I am privileged in the fact that I am able to go outside and, if I wanted to read a book completely outside of my house, I can do that. But speaking for myself as a Black content creator, to see that apology directed to the Black or POC community, and having other people who are blatantly not part of the POC community respond and accept the apology, and then to have the people who made the apology not address that, I was like, whoa. Where is the accountability here for anybody? Like, what is going on? Why have we learned nothing throughout the Black Lives Matter movement? BookTube is not supposed to be this messy. I'm finding 2020 has everybody out of whack, because everybody's a hot mess right now, and it's not acceptable. It's not okay. Like, I don't like to come on here and be irritated and upset. Like, I don't like doing that. That's not what my platform is. But when nonsense like this takes place, you have to say something. So I'm saying something. And honestly, the Reading Rush host, you need to do better. And it's not me trying to single anybody out, but because they are the hosts of the Reading Rush was their responsibility. The success of the Reading Rush was their responsibility. Making it, accessible for everybody was their responsibility, and they dropped the ball. You have to address the people who are responsible. That's all you really can do. So, I mean, going for, am I going to participate in the reading rush next year? I don't know. Ask me next year. Let's see. I'm waiting to see how we can all move forward from this. I'm not going to say I will never participate in another reading rush again. No, I won't say that, because I don't like to use be all end all terms like never. So I'm waiting to see really what they do from here. I'm waiting to see how they address anything. If some, you know, if they address it on their personal platforms, something. Oh, sorry, and I forgot the little bonus mark where because they do the winners for on Instagram, like those daily winners for like challenges, like the picture challenges. They picked winners. I believe it was like 2 or 3 of the people that won the Instagram challenges were non-POCs cosplaying as POC characters. But I was like, that's an issue for another day, but that's just a bonus that we can toss in there for fun. But yeah, like, long story short, it was a mess. They need, like, just do better, please. Be more mindful of what you're putting out into the world. Use your platform constructively and in a way that promotes allyship, instead of, you know, just going through it blindly and then acting shocked when people are upset. I don't know. That's what I have to say on that. I don't want to keep rambling or ranting on about it, but that's my thoughts on how the reading rush went. Like I said, I don't know if I'll participate next year. As I dig further and further deeper, there's lots of readathons that happen throughout the year, so maybe I'll switch it up and do something else next year, because unless I see blatant change, it's the same thing with my book outlet thoughts. Unless I see blatant change, I have no desire to give you my energy. So yeah, I'll put it somewhere else. That's that. So, alrighty, so now that that portion of the video is out of the way, we finally get to jump into the review for Ghost Boys. I'm so excited to do this with you guys. I thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. It was such a phenomenal read. So just a little bit of a kind of a layout of how this review is going to go. I'm going to talk to you guys first about what the book is about. Then I'm going to go into the writing style, the characters, the story itself, like my thoughts on the story itself, and then some important facts that were from the book, as well as taking you guys through some quotes and inserts in the book that I thought were really, really good and just wanting to share with you guys. So, and I have all of my notes written on my iPad because there is a lot and I don't want to miss anything. So yeah, let's get started. Woo! I'm wearing slippers on a wooden chair and it's squeaky. Our story is about our main character, 12-year-old African-American boy Jerome Rogers, who is shot and killed by a police officer who accidentally mistakes his toy gun as a real gun, and he gets to come back as a ghost and witness all of the events firsthand that take place after he's killed, and he gets to kind of see the chaos and the turmoil that takes place afterwards. But the twist with this is that the only people who can see himself as a ghost is another ghost boy, and the cop that shot him's daughter can also see Jerome. So it's really interesting because we get the perspective of, again with the flies, we get the perspective of Jerome, who has to come to terms with the fact that he was killed, and then figure out how to kind of move on and how he can kind of deal with watching all of the pain and the hurt that comes after he's killed. We also get the perspective of another ghost boy, who I will leave anonymous because I don't want to spoil anything. And then we get the perspective of the officer that shot him's daughter, who has to come to terms with, one, what her dad did, and put the pieces together to kind of determine how she feels about the situation. So you get a lot of perspectives in this book, and it's really, really well done. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's a perspective, the perspective of the officer's daughter is one that I feel like you don't really get a lot in police brutality books, and I enjoyed that thoroughly. So that was awesome. The writing style of the book, the way that the book is written, is probably one of my most favorite writing styles, and that is when a book is written in these short, like, blunt sentences that make it why can't I speak? The book is written in like these really quick, short, blunt sentences, which makes it a very quick and easy read, but still it doesn't take away from any of the impactfulness. And I think the author did a really, really good job with that. I also understand that it is a middle grade book, so writing in quick sentences makes it more palatable for middle grade readers, because nobody wants to be sitting there reading 2-paragraph long sentence that's just run on and holds a lot of information. So I quite enjoy a more blunt writing style, and I'm very happy that the book was written in this format. The characters, oh my goodness. Jerome grabbed my heart and absolutely broke it. Oh my gosh, I love Jerome. I felt so many emotions for him. It's such a heartbreaking story, and the way that the author wrote Jerome was so beautiful, and it did him such justice. Even though it is a fictional character, it was so beautifully done. I think my one issue with the characters was I would have liked a little bit more of a backstory on his parents and the bullies at his school. Mind you, obviously, as I said, it's a middle grade book, so I understand that, you know, you don't really want to be bogging it down with a lot of character building and setting the scene, because then you can lose the interest of a younger reader for sure, and even my interest sometimes. So the facts that were needed were there, but our main character was beautifully done, absolutely beautifully done. He's one of those characters that you want to reach into the book and just save for yourself. So I thoroughly enjoyed the progression of Jerome throughout the book as well. The actual story. So the actual story is just, it's hard. It's really sad because it's a little boy that gets shot, and it's, you know, you have to kind of sit back and realize that that's a child that she was writing about. But the author did a really, really good job of it, and I honestly wasn't expecting the book to be as impactful as it was, because it is geared to younger readers. So I was expecting a lot of facts to be kind of, you know, glazed over or fluffed up a little bit. She didn't do that at all. So I was thoroughly impressed with that. The only thing about the story that I really didn't like was the portrayal of the police officer. I think he was extended a lot of grace and didn't really deserve it, and that could be my own implicit bias and anger towards police brutality in general, but I didn't like how much grace he was afforded. Now, mind you, I understand that the author was more than likely trying to push the narrative or the lesson of forgiveness, and it gave me it kept on reminding me of that thing that President Obama would say, when they go low, we go high. It gave me those types of feels, and that is a very valuable and important lesson to teach and continue to preach on. Mind you, I would have liked to see him be nailed to a cross, essentially. I wasn't here for him at all, but I get the message that she was trying to push, and it's very, very valuable and an important lesson to push in forgiveness and moving forward. But for me personally, I was like, no, I don't want to forgive him. So that was probably my only issue with the book on a whole. This fly is going to drive me nuts. Go away. Go. I hope you guys can see it and it doesn't look like I'm just swatting air, but yeah. So yeah, that was my only issue with the book on a whole. Am I missing anything? No, it's police officer. Oh, and I also loved how she was able to kind of weave in past historical events, like the Emmett Till case within the story. I think she did that so well. And again, she didn't fluff up any of the facts of the Emmett Till case, and to have that integrated into a middle grade book, I think is so powerful. So I was shocked that she did that, number one, and so incredibly impressed that she did that. It was amazing. So I was very, very happy with that. Some of the important facts, obviously the main fact that is talked about within this book is police brutality. The second thing that's talked about, as I just mentioned, is the Emmett Till case, which, if you didn't know, was the 1955 case where a 14-year-old African-American boy, Emmett Till, was accused of offending a white woman, and the result of that was him being abducted from his great uncle or his uncle's house and brutalized for it to the point where he did die. If you don't know the specifics of that case, I encourage you to go look it up for yourself. It is beyond like heart-wrenching. And just so we're clear, the woman that he offended, her name is Carolyn Bryant. She is now 86 years old and faces no repercussions for the allegations that she put against Emmett Till, which she later on confessed to were false. So in a world where we will hunt down the R. Kellys and the Bill Cosbys, who deserve to be hunted down, I'm not saying they don't deserve to be hunted down, but in a world where we will hunt down the R. Kellys and Bill Cosbys and leave the Carol Bryants, it's just, it's disgusting. as far as I'm concerned. Again, I strongly encourage you to go and look up the Emmett Till case for yourself. It is horrendous what they did to that little boy. He was 14 years old. Absolutely horrendous. The next thing that they talk about is the Brown versus Board of Education case, which happened in Topeka, Kansas in 1954, and that is where the Supreme Court unanimously ruled that segregated schools were unconstitutional. So those were like the three main things that were brought up in the book, and again, not glazed over at all. She did a beautiful job of integrating those facts into the case. This book was really eye-opening for me. There was a lot of things that I took note of and had to internalize for myself. Let me see if I can find one. And I always flip right to it. Gosh, I'm so good. But there's one thing where the police officer's daughter goes to a librarian to kind of try to put together, it's a librarian that she trusts, she's trying to put together how to feel about what her dad did. And she wants to learn about, you know, police brutality and why it happened to Jerome, being that Jerome is Black. And she ultimately, the conversation shifts to Emmett Till, and the librarian tries to kind of dissuade her from talking about it, being like, oh, well, you know, you're going to learn about Emmett Till during Black History Month in your history class. And I read that and I was like, well, hold on, wait a minute. I was never taught about Emmett Till or the Board of Education, or the Brown versus Board of Education case, or Emmett Till. I was never ever taught about those things in school. It wasn't even like a thought to be taught about during school. So to like read this and hear a librarian being like, oh, well, you'll learn about it throughout like Black History Month and stuff like that, I never got that. And that made me angry to know that I went through my entire educational career, and none of that was touched upon. We learned about World War I, World War II, the Cold War, and we learned about, you know, certain aspects of the civil rights movement, like Rosa Parks and not even Malcolm X. Sorry, we didn't learn about Malcolm X. We learned about Martin Luther King, and that was that. Never touched upon the Black Panther movement. Never touched upon Emmett Till, the Tulsa riots. Nothing was ever taught to me in school, and I think that's absolutely despicable and horrendous. That's a part of history that pretty much the educational system ignores. At least the educational system that I went through completely ignored. It's gross. It's gross. So that stirred up a lot of emotion for me right there. And then there's another quote in the book where the girl is trying to kind of stick up for her dad, and telling Emmett, well, he made a mistake, like his job is to protect people. And Emmett looks at her and goes, well, he didn't protect me. And that right there was such a powerful line for me in the book, because it makes you kind of think about, well, officers are here to protect and serve, but who are they really protecting? Because it's not everybody. So there's so many more examples of that throughout the book. Like I said, I don't want to spoil anything, but I would highly recommend that if you can, go and pick up this book and just give it your full attention, because it was beautifully done and it deserves your full attention. This is a book that honestly should be required reading for middle grade, for I don't know what you call it in America or any other part of the any other part of the world, but here it's elementary school. This should be mandatory reading in elementary schools, because it was beautifully done and it's so impactful and so important, and it packs so much information into such a short book. And there's even discussion questions at the back of the book that you can use if you're hosting a book club about it. There's nothing that I can really say is wrong with the book, and that's very rare for me, because I'm usually pretty critical about books that I read. This one was just absolutely phenomenally done. I'm very happy that I can't even take credit for it, because I didn't pick it up. My boyfriend picked it up at our local bookstore, and he was the one who told me that I should read it. Very grateful that he did that for me. So I ended up giving this a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Can't gush about it enough. It was beautifully done. If you have the chance to read it, I would highly. Alright guys, that brings us to the end of our video. Thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end of this video. You are phenomenal. Please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe before you go. And also, one last thing, I'm going to be hosting a live show for my birthday, which is on August 16th. It falls on a Sunday. It's going to be a Q&A, so start thinking of some questions that you have for me. You can comment them down below, and you can comment them down below in the description box. No, you can't comment anything in the description box. You can put them in the comment section down below, and I'm going to start compiling questions and thinking of answers for your guys' questions for me. I'm really excited, so stay tuned on my social media to be getting more information about that. And until then, I will see you in my next one. Bye!